I think I need to change the name of this podcast. I I never do it on Mondays. Well,
No.
I record I record late in the week
Mm-hmm.
so that when the audio goes up, it goes up on Monday, like on the podcast feed. So like the way I've designed it is that on every Monday, okay, every Monday's a lie. On most Mondays,
Mm-hmm.
it goes up at 7 a.m. on the podcast feed. Um, but like I record at all different times throughout the week because I just don't have time to do it on Monday.
No.
Like if I had the motivation to get up early in the morning and have someone ready to do the podcast with me at 7 a.m., I would do that. But I'm just
Yeah. Well, you're usually busy taking me to work at that time, so.
at no, at 7 in the morning. We're just crawling out of bed.
Oh, well, that's yeah. Okay, 7, not 8. So.
But I'm glad you're on the podcast.
Yeah, well, I'm happy to be here.
I started this podcast with the hopes that you would be on more often than what you have been on.
Well, all I can say is I'm a busy girl.
So, um, but no, I thought we would have. Last few episodes, for those of you who've been listening, last few episodes have been pretty theology heavy. They've not been very. Well, I mean, well, they've been fun for me because I'm a nerd, but um, they've been pretty heavy, and so I thought I would do a light episode. And I see you got your "Read Old Dead Guys" shirt, or mine,
Well, it's your Read Old Dead Guy shirt
right?
that I got for you.
Right. And you got, let's see, I've got Spurgeon, Luther, Wesley, Calvin on there. Read Old Dead Guys. I don't even know where you got that from.
I literally just searched anime John Calvin.
Anime John Calvin.
I am 95% sure that is what I Googled, and this came up on somebody's page, but it was also available, amazingly enough, on Amazon, if I remember correctly. So I got this as a present for our first anniversary, and we are almost to our 4th now.
Yep. I'm going to wear that t-shirt out, so I'm going to need another one.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah.
Like, I'm going to wear that t-shirt out.
Yeah, and if you know, I will.
Uh, because I love old dead guys, especially those old dead guys.
Yeah, I know. It was just perfect for you.
And so now that you're here,
Mm-hmm.
now that you're here, now that we're doing this, I thought we would have some fun. I like pulling out the pod decks and seeing what happens whenever we just have topics presented to us.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Talk about your favorite famous dead person.
Okay, you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
I want you to go first. You're hardly ever on here. You might as well go first.
That's fair. I've actually got a couple, and they're somewhat recently dead people. First off, Robin Williams. I have always been infatuated with Robin Williams since I was a young child. I had to watch every movie that he was in. As I got older, all the stand-up routines he did, some of which are not very appropriate, but are extremely funny.
Oh, yeah.
So that's one of them. I thought he was a great guy, and I was sad to see him go. And then my other favorite dead famous person probably has got to be Steve Irwin. I love Steve Irwin. I watched Crocodile Hunter ad nauseum every episode, all the time. That was just my favorite thing to watch. And he was just such a cool guy who just loved animals. And I was already, pretty interested in animals, but Steve Irwin really inspired a lot of my love of nature.
Well, I mean, Steve Irwin had an impact on a lot of people. Not me personally. Like I thought he was annoying personally, and it was kind of sad whenever he passed away.
Oh, Josh commented.
Yes, Josh. Josh Sayer commented. my favorite papist buddy. 4 years with this guy. What a saint.
Yeah, he puts up with a lot too. We put up with a lot from each other.
Well, you're pretty easy to live with, honestly.
Oh, that's very nice of you to say
I find you
in
find
public with all of these people.
No, honestly, I find you incredibly easy to live with.
Oh,
Because, well, and part of the reason for that is you communicate what you expect of me, even though I consistently fail your expectations.
that's a little harsh, but
you're a clear communicator, and I find that amenable.
okay, okay. Fair enough. Thank you.
But no, back to the dead guy.
Yes.
My favorite dead guy
Mm-hmm.
is Spurgeon. I think if Spurgeon ever got his view on baptism right, he would have made an excellent Presbyterian.
Yeah.
Um,
You want to expound on that a little bit more?
yeah, well, Spurgeon was a Baptist,
Mm-hmm.
and Spurgeon had a lot of negative ideas about Roman Catholicism, which I can do without, because while he was right on some things as it pertains to Roman Catholicism, he was way too hard on them. Like, he believed if you were a Roman Catholic, you were damned and going to hell. Sorry,
Oh.
Josh.
That's rough.
Yeah, and so there were some things about Spurgeon I could do without, but overall, I really like him, and he's probably been, as far as dead guys go, strictly, he's probably been the biggest influence on me personally, because his sermons just make sense. Most of his sermons. Yeah, I would say 98% of his sermons just make sense. I leave room for 2% because he did use his sermons sometimes he did use his sermons every once in a while as a platform to tout against Roman Catholicism or Anglicanism.
Yeah, I don't like that, but you know.
But overall, his sermons were helpful, and he made a lot of sense for me. And one of the things I like about Spurgeon is, in a time when it was popular for preachers just to drone on and on without giving any. What are you doing? Oh, sorry. You're pointing to a comment. That's what you were doing.
Yes.
In a time when it was popular for Spurgeon, for preachers just to drone on and on,
Mm-hmm.
Spurgeon helped a lot of people. He used sermon illustrations, which were not common at the time. You got to keep in mind, in that day, most people were just plain illiterate, like they couldn't read.
Yeah,
and
that's part of the course for that time.
Right. And what preachers would do is that they would get up at the pulpit, they would read their text, and then they would just go on and on using these obscure theological terms and references, and they would use a lot of quotes from dead guys who were not relevant to the time and who were far above people's understanding, and they didn't make any attempt to apply what they were saying.
Mm.
And Spurgeon ran counterculture to that.
Yeah.
Spurgeon preached in a way that the common person could understand. And when people got saved and got involved in his church and felt like they were called to ministry, they wanted him to teach them how to preach, which is where the Spurgeon College comes from, and which is where the lectures to my students comes from. Josh Sayer, again, our favorite Roman Catholic, he said, I still have all his sermons on my bookshelf. I admit he says some good things occasionally. And so, yeah, Spurgeon, I think, is tremendously helpful and tremendously accessible. Also, shout out to our friend Chance, the youth minister at Wesley UMC. He's going to have me come in this Sunday afternoon and talk to his kids about Spurgeon, because he's doing a thing right now called Dead Theologian Society, where he's just kind of taken week after week to talk about someone who is important to Christian history and theology.
Okay.
And so last week he covered C.S. Lewis. This week he's bringing me in so that I can cover Spurgeon. He's going to talk about Dallas Willard, A.W. Tozer. He's probably going to talk about Thomas Aquinas in there somewhere. He's doing them in order of accessibility. And I think he also wants to bring him back in to talk about Calvin too.
Okay.
Basically, and I love the premise behind this. Basically, he's got a lot of youth kids in his youth group,
Mhm.
who are like upper teens, 16, 17 years old. And so eventually they're going to get too old to be in youth.
Mhm.
And that time is coming within the next year or so. And so what he wants to do, or what he wants to accomplish with this Dead Theologian Society thing,
Mhm.
is he wants to equip them. He wants to equip them with people who can give them answers.
Okay.
And I think that's helpful
I think so.
because there's a lot of people they just don't. There's a lot of people who don't really know about all the resources that are available to them.
Mhm.
And so they kind of get out on their own and they are just they're dead in the water because they come up against all these questions by agnostic, atheist, secularist philosophers and professors. They don't know what to do with it. They don't know how to answer it.
Mhm.
And so a lot of these dead guys that Chance is going over,
Mhm.
they're apologists, they're theologians, they're thinkers, they're people who have encountered these issues. And he's equipping the next generation to have answers whenever they go off to college.
And I think that's important.
Yeah,
It's not telling kids what they believe, but it's giving them the resources to work it out on their own.
right.
And that's really important because just parroting back things that you've heard other people say is not helpful.
Right. It's like I grew up hearing all the time. I grew up hearing all the time that it's not Adam and Steve, it's Adam and Eve. Well, that's a clever line. That's a clever line to say during a sermon. That's a clever line to say in a conversation, but it's not a coherent argument.
Yeah, and it's also, I think, more sassy than
Right.
helpful.
It's more sassy than helpful. What a coherent argument is look at the Bible, understand God's order of creation, understand that it started with a male and female, and that biologically you can only come up with more humans when you have a male and a female. That's it.
Okay.
And so if there's going to be a family, if God designed the human family, the only way a family can be created is if it starts with a male and a female.
Okay.
And so you're looking at the pod decks.
Yes, I am.
You're going to give me a question?
I guess so.
Okay.
Oh, okay. This one's, I think, relevant for you.
Okay.
If you had to delete all but 3 apps from your smartphone, which ones would you keep?
Oh boy.
Because I don't know if you've ever seen Logan's cell phone, but he has folders and folders and folders. Is what I refer to as crap.
Crap.
Just crap all over his phone.
Well,
so he tells me we'll be in the car and I'll be in the passenger seat and he'll be like, "Here, find this," and I'm like, "Okay."
Oh, that's hard.
Which one out of 40?
See, the Bible app I'm going to keep on there.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep the Bible app on there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to keep Messenger.
Mm-hmm. Yep, staying connected.
Right. Man, what would my third one be? Scribd.
Yeah. You get a lot of access to books with that, don't you?
Yeah, Scribd is like Netflix for books.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I highly recommend people get a Scribd account. Like it's like $12.99 a month. Man, is it worth it? Especially if you read a lot. And I don't even use Logos. I don't use Logos, like the Bible study software thing. I don't use Logos. I hate Logos. It's overly complicated, and all the books on there are expensive. If I go on Logos, I might as well buy physical copies of the books for the prices they're wanting. The only time Logos is even good is if there's a sale, and there's not that many good sales. And before Logos was like the main Bible study software, before they got a monopoly on the market, there was a thing called Word Search. See, I've still got Word Search. I've still got the old Word Search here on your computer, Word Search 12.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and Logos bought them out, and that made me really sad because I loved using Word Search for my Bible study stuff and my sermon prep. But since they bought out Word Search, I don't use Logos because I'm still mad about them buying out Word Search. So I just use Scribd because Scribd gives me access to all my commentaries, all the books I'm reading, even audiobooks and magazines. And Scribd is not sponsoring me in any way. So guys, if you want to reach out to Scribd and say, hey, you got a fan over here, that'd be great. I could use a free month or two. So you got another one? Well, it's your turn to answer that question.
Yeah. Well, you give this long answer, which is typical of you.
Right. I'm a talker.
Yeah. If I had to delete all but 3 apps from my smartphone, I would keep my Bible app because
Okay.
I use it a ton. Maybe not as much as I should. I would also have to keep webtoons because I just love webcomics. I read webcomics all the time. Like, that's my pastime. I read webcomics. Maybe not a good one, but it's the one I have. And probably I have to think about it. Well, I've got this Bible Study Together app that I use with the ladies at Wesley for our Monday night studies, and I'd probably keep that one as well.
So you got 2 Bible apps and a webcomic app.
That is correct. I like to read.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good. Let's see, I got one for you too.
All right, let's hear it.
Would you rather spend the night in a dumpster or a porta potty?
Ooh. I don't know. Is the sidewalk an option? Yeah, I would sleep on the sidewalk given the choice between the two. You hold a gun to my head, I guess the porta potty, at least.
You go for porta potty?
Well, here's the thing. You can sit there awake all night and not have to worry about stuff dropping in on you.
Oh, that's true.
If you get in a dumpster, you're going to not only just be in there with probably some food and nasty stuff, but you're going to be having to deal with all the pests and rodents and more food and possibly dead bodies or what, depending on where your dumpster is. I grew up in close proximity to Dallas, so my brain goes straight to murder.
Yeah, see, I would probably, I was going to choose dumpster because there'd be a good chance there'd be cardboard in there. But you brought up a lot of interesting points. I'm going to have to go. I'm changing my answer. I'm going porta potty.
Porta potty. It's not going to smell very good, but it's probably more safe. And the door locks.
My favorite Yankee commented, my internet. I call her my internet mom. Sean Randlett. She said, "Y'all going to keep that AC in the window through the wicked winter storm coming, Mr. Man?"
That is actually a heater and an AC unit.
Right.
So it is blowing hot air, keeping our little house without central heating and air warm at the moment.
Yes, that's probably the best investment we've made since we moved in here.
It's probably one of the biggest investments we made.
Yeah, really.
And honestly, I think we should have gone for the bigger size. This one does good, but I think the next size up would have done better.
How much did we pay for that thing? $600?
Like, after tax, almost $700.
Almost $700.
It took a lot of our move-in budget.
Yeah.
It took up a good chunk of our move-in budget for that.
Yeah. But that's probably the most expensive, other than a car, that's probably the most expensive purchase we've made.
I don't know about that,
no?
But it's probably one of the biggest purchases we've made together.
But it's been worth it, man.
Yeah.
I love
Works
that
good.
We only had one problem with it, and it turns out it wasn't actually a problem with the unit.
No, that was a problem with the wiring.
Right. And we got that taken care of, and it's worked like a charm.
Yeah.
You want to You want to give me a question now?
Sure. Do I get my choice of decks here?
You do this one.
Interview deck?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. What are you most excited about right now?
Oh, I don't know, man. I guess there's a lot of good things. Well, I guess there's things I could say, but they're not coming to mind. Um, one of the things that I'm excited about is I actually felt like I've been doing ministry this last week. I feel bad a lot of the times because I get a paycheck every week from the church,
Yeah.
and I don't feel like I'm worth what I'm being paid because I feel like a lot of the times I'm just reading and doing sermon prep. And don't get me wrong, that's valuable. That's good.
Yeah, that's important.
It's important. Um, but I feel like I've not been able to do as much ministry because,
Sorry about that.
yeah, someone tried to call on my phone that we're currently using as a webcam. So I don't think I've been able to do as much ministry because a lot of our people are really, well, they're self-sufficient
Yeah.
in a lot of ways.
I mean,
They don't require a whole lot from me as their pastor.
they're countryside mountain folk. They got this.
Yeah. And so I feel bad for accepting a paycheck a lot of the time. But this last week, I actually feel like I've been doing some good work because we've been helping out a friend of ours who
And our church has been helping her.
and our church has been helping her. We've been helping out a friend of ours whose husband passed away recently, and our church has been helping her, and a couple other churches have been helping her, and we've been helping her get on her feet. And I feel like I've actually been functioning as a pastor this last week, and it feels good. And
You have to put those big grown-up pastor shoes on. Huh?
right, and then today, I met with other pastors and a couple chaplains in our community, and we spent the afternoon talking about what all we're going to do to team up together to do stuff for the community.
Oh, that's good.
We're going to do. Last year for the National Day of Prayer, we did this thing where we set up a prayer station at an Assembly of God church on the north side of town, and then we set up a similar prayer station at a Church of Christ on the west side of town. And what we did is we just put up a sign that said, "Do you need prayer? We'll pray for you." And we got to pray for people.
And that's important.
Right. And and it wasn't one of those things where we were trying to evangelize. It wasn't
kitschy.
No, it wasn't kitschy. It was just, hey, prayer is important, and we would like to pray with you. And we got to talk to a lot of people, and we connected a lot of people to the Rust Bus, and we connected a lot of people to nonprofits that were needing help.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to do that again this year.
Oh, that's great.
So it was helpful. Ray said that he sealed up a house for this real good. It's a lot warmer now.
Well, it's already starting to ice down there.
Yeah, it's moving that way as well. And then our favorite Roman Catholic guy again. He said, "Just noticed this was the Monday morning megaphone." Today is Wednesday.
Yeah.
We addressed this earlier in the show.
Yeah.
I really need to change the name of this program.
Yeah.
And so here's another one.
Yeah. You gonna ask me one?
I'm going to ask you one. Would you rather
Okay.
take cold showers for the rest of your life or never get more than 4 hours of sleep a night ever again?
Ooh, cold showers.
Yep,
Cold showers. I take cold showers anyway.
That's not
a
even
lot of the time.
That's not even a discussion. Cold showers. Your turn.
Say some people can function on 4 hours of sleep, not me. You have $100,000 you have to donate or create a charity. What are you going to do? Are you going to choose a charity to donate to, or a person, place, or thing? Or are you going to create your own charity?
Man, that's really a hard question. And I got to either donate it or create a new. I can't keep it. I don't know. I don't know, man. Because our area has a lot of good charities and a lot of resources.
It really, it's gotten to where it's got a lot of good resources.
I would probably
last few
create.
years.
Yeah, but I would probably create another charity because I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to tell stories. But there was a situation a couple years ago where someone whom I know of genuinely needed help, and they reached out to one of the nonprofits in our area, and that nonprofit refused to help them because they felt like they weren't going to get anything in return.
Oh, that's kind of messed up.
It is very
I
messed up.
mean, it's a charity.
Right.
Yeah, it's not an exchange program.
Exactly. So I would probably invest 100K in starting a new nonprofit. Um, Now, what kind of nonprofit would that be? Um, that's a good question. I think part of what I would like to do, I think part of what I would like to do is I would like to do something completely different than what any of the other nonprofits around here are doing. I would like to build a center that functions as a multi-use office space
Okay.
for people who need computers and access to the internet to apply for jobs.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Because
I mean, you can only do so much at the public library.
right, and you can, and what you could also do with that space is you could teach technologically. You could offer free classes for people in the community who are technologically illiterate, and teach them how to work a computer.
That's really, yeah, because so many jobs,
Right.
you have to have at least basic computer skills.
And so what I would do is I would create a nonprofit with multi-use office space. I would hire someone on salary to come in and teach classes through the week to people in the community who need to learn how to use computers, and teach people basic life skills about how to build a resume, how to apply for jobs, and how to just do basic life skills. And perhaps that would create other opportunities to have other classes to help people build basic life skills. I would like it if there were I would like it if there was a nonprofit or some kind of free resource in our own community that could teach marketable skills, because I would sign up for some of those classes in a heartbeat. Uh,
I think Josh posted another comment.
Josh did post another comment. Let's see. Would you rather sleep for 10 years straight, lose all that time, and never be able to sleep again? Or take 3-minute micro sleeps every 20 minutes for the rest of your life?
Ooh, that's an interesting one.
That is an interesting one. I'm going to go with 2 because okay, here's why I would go with 2. There are some people, and you're one of these people, you have the ability to go to bed anywhere and just sleep. Like if you walked over to the chair right now and sat there and you wanted to sleep, you could just close your eyes and you'd be out in 2 minutes.
Maybe.
No, you could.
Maybe.
And I hate that you could do that.
I didn't used to be able to do that until I worked 40 plus hour weeks
Like
all the time.
I genuinely hate. I'm jealous. I'm so jealous of the fact that you can just sleep whenever and wherever you want.
Go run around like a chicken with your head cut off all day like I do, and you'll be tired enough to do that.
No, I just
That's one of the downsides to doing what you do for a living.
It takes me 30 to 45 minutes to fall asleep.
I know, and it's because you're mentally exhausted,
I'm
but
always
your
exhausted.
your body's not worn out. Does that make sense?
I guess so. But I just lay there.
You thoroughly exercise your mind to the point of exhaustion, but your body is not tired.
Yeah.
And that's why I think you suffer with some insomnia.
When I lived in
Of course,
Minnesota,
I'm not a doctor.
right.
That's just a guess.
When I lived in Minnesota, the person's house that I was staying in was a drill sergeant.
Uh-huh.
And at that time in my life, I was thinking about going into the service.
Mm-hmm.
And so what he had me do is every night before bed, he had me do a round of push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups,
Mm-hmm.
and getting through all those exercises would take about 30 to 35 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And after I did all that, I jumped in the shower, and after the shower, I went to bed.
Yeah.
And I was pretty wore out, so there might be something to that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go back to exercising nightly before bed. You can forget that. But there might be something to that.
Yeah.
But going back to this whole nonprofit idea, what I would like to see is a place that teaches people marketable skills that can build their resume and help them find jobs. Because I think a lot of places around here are hiring, but they're really particular about who they hire. And I know that because I've applied for some part-time jobs and hadn't got a single response. And it's because my resume is terrible.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're obviously not that desperate for people, or else somebody would have hired me for a part-time job by now. But I'm not in terrible need of a part-time job anyway. I was just looking for something to get some disposable income.
Yeah. Is that a thing? Do people still have that?
I don't know. Not in this economy, that's for sure.
Okay.
Thanks, Biden.
Okay, yeah, let's not.
Is it my turn?
Yeah, it's your turn.
Brag to me about the best things going on in the past 30 days.
Oh, don't ask me questions that require me to
let's not
think
do
about
this,
the
man.
past.
Yeah, let's not do that. Let's give it a good shuffle.
Yeah.
Shuffle our deck in front of God and everybody.
No pee pee poo poo jokes, Logan.
Right. No pee pee poo poo jokes. Oh, tell them what I did.
No.
Okay, so my wife works at a pharmacy. And this pharmacy sends you text messages by notification when your prescriptions are ready.
Yep.
And when they first started doing this, I thought that the system was entirely automated.
Surely because he doesn't listen, because I told him it wasn't.
I thought the system, she says I don't listen. I didn't hear that part of the conversation. So she must not have said it loud enough. But I thought the system was entirely automated. So they sent me a notification that one of my scripts was ready.
Did you hear that? It's my fault that he didn't hear something.
So they sent me a text message that one of my scripts was ready. So I did what I always do with robots. I just sent a message back that said, pee pee poo poo. Well, I don't hear anything about it, so I just assume it's still a robot. So I get another text message about some sale they were having on some product. And so I sent them another message that said, "That's a great idea, Deborah. My wife will never find out." And then a couple days ago, they sent another promotional message about a sale.
Was it? It was yesterday.
Yeah.
It was yesterday.
It was yesterday.
Because this is how they found your responses.
And then I sent a message back that said, "Fire emoji when I poop emoji." And I thought nothing of this, and so I go to pick Brittany up for lunch, take her to lunch. She doesn't say anything to me, and I didn't even think about it. And then I drop her off for lunch, and then after I dropped her off back at work, as I'm leaving the pharmacy, I get a voice message on my phone from you.
Mm-hmm.
And what did it say?
I believe my exact words were, "Wendell, you're an idiot."
Yep. What else did it say?
There was a lot of laughing from my boss, my manager, the head pharmacy tech, and my manager going, "Print it out! Print it out!" So, yeah.
I am a comedic genius.
You're a dummy. But you're my dummy.
So I go into the pharmacy to pick her up from work today, and one of the girls at the counter goes, "By the way, I loved your text messages." And Vicky, your manager, said,
Don't encourage
don't
him.
encourage him."
She said it in my stead because she knew in her heart that it's what I would say.
All right, we'll try another.
Yeah. Let's try one that sounds less like Joel Osteen would ask it.
Right. Who is your favorite hero of fiction?
Ooh. My favorite hero of fiction?
Yep.
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter.
I love Harry Potter.
Oh, I can't say. I like the
Oh,
Harry.
you like the movies, right?
I like the movies,
But you hate the books.
No, well, I mean, I can't get into the books because of Rowling's writing style.
That's fair. That's
Um,
fair.
I like the universe.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like Harry Potter as a character.
You don't like Harry?
No.
I mean, I like Harry because he's so relatable. Like, he's very. If you actually read the books instead of watching the movies, he is so sassy.
I don't.
He's so sassy. There's no need to call me sir.
I don't like Harry Potter. I don't. I think he's a main character. I think everything good happens to him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, here's the thing: he had a terrible childhood. He was, pretty much abused as a kid.
You say after everything good happens to him.
Well, hang on. No. He had a terrible childhood. He was pretty much abused as a kid.
Uh-huh.
And then, he turns 11 years old, and after he gets this special invitation, by the way, to this school of witchcraft and wizardry, just everything good happens to him in his life. And then he has this, there's some bad things that happen.
There's a ton of bad things. This happened because you watched the stupid movies and didn't read the books.
I know it, but
All
it just
the
seems
bad
like
things.
Harry Potter's always the good guy. He does nothing wrong.
No.
He's
That's
like this.
just because you watched the movies.
He's like this messianic figure, and I hate it.
But that's why you should read the books.
I can't say
because he's so relatable in the books, and he messes up all the time.
I don't have time
and
for
gets
that.
him right. But I'm saying your perspective is warped because you've only seen the movies. He gets in trouble all the time and gets himself into shenanigans, and he's very relatable because he screws up so much.
Right.
Also, your friend commented
Yeah,
over there.
I'll address that in a minute. Let me rant about why Harry Potter's a terrible person. So, Harry Potter is awful because throughout the whole movies, and of course I've not read the book.
So he's basically Snape, guys. Anyway.
Oh yeah, I love Snape. Snape's my favorite character.
That's why you hate Harry.
Right. So
Snape is also my favorite
Harry's
character.
getting picked on by Snape. It's poor Harry Potter. He's always getting picked on. When's things gonna go right for Harry Potter? And then of course he's got to deal with Draco Malfoy, and Draco Malfoy is also equally terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Snape is like the only character in that series that I really like and really relate to. Dumbledore's okay, but Snape, that's my man.
I mean, I like Snape because he's a really morally gray character, and you don't see that a lot in fiction.
Yeah.
You see, especially in books more aimed towards children, like Harry Potter is more aimed towards, people between the ages of 10 to 16.
Yeah.
Get mad about that if you want. But Snape is not just pure evil or pure good. He is squarely in the middle, maybe leaning more towards bad on most of his days. So that's what's so interesting about him. Whereas Harry's definitely just a good kid who gets himself into a lot of unnecessary trouble.
Well, another reason I like Snape is because in his life he had tragedy, very similar to Harry Potter's background. But you don't know that about Snape until later. Like
You
you
could
don't-
have guessed from his behavior,
you might have
though,
could have guessed, but you didn't know
as an
for
adult
sure.
if you read them.
Like he didn't. He's not a whiner, and not everything was handed to him like it was to Harry.
He is a whiner. And quit saying everything was handed to Harry, because it's not. He just got some money. Money's helpful. But he also was missing a lot of things in his life that he could have benefited from. And he had to deal with a lot of crap consistently.
And Harry was a snot-nosed brat. They should have kept him in that closet. Ow. Okay, I'm joking.
He was not a snot. He was sassy for sure, but he was not a snot.
Okay, the Dursleys were terrible.
They were terrible.
They were terrible. But
Anyway, we've talked too long about Harry Potter.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you a
no.
question.
I haven't answered this question.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I didn't get to answer the last one, so I
Yeah.
thought we were just asking each other questions.
Oh, what? Oh, you didn't get to answer the last one?
It doesn't matter. Here, go ahead.
Oh, okay. No, I got to answer the who is your favorite hero of fiction? Mine
Mm-hmm.
is the Punisher.
The I don't know. I would not call the Punisher a hero,
Oh, he's my hero.
but I wouldn't call him a hero. He's an anti-hero, if anything. He's a really good character.
Anti-heroes count.
I mean,
I love the Punisher. Like,
you know what? You said the Punisher, and I thought of Spawn.
oh no,
Sorry.
no. The Punisher stands up to the government and takes matters into his own hands whenever they won't help him, and I love the Punisher. Ultimate libertarian icon within the Marvel universe.
Fair enough. Okay, you gonna address your friend's question?
Yeah, so Cody Garner said, when are we going to hang and smoke some cigars, man? Next time I'm in Conway, we need to do that. Or you could always come to Russellville. And meet me over at Davis's, and we'll have cigars together, man. I would love to sit down and have a cigar with you. Whose turn is it to ask a question?
You asked that one, so it's my
Okay.
turn.
You want would you rather interview What the Heck deck?
I think I'd rather do the would you rather
Okay.
on that note. Ooh. Would you rather wear adult diapers the rest of your life or never wear underwear again? That should be in the what the heck deck.
Let me see that again. Would you rather wear adult
no,
diapers?
it does not say you have to use the adult diapers. It just says you have to wear the adult diapers.
Oh, see, why didn't you become a lawyer?
I'm not smart enough. Anyway.
I don't know, man. Like adult diapers, I could have used an adult diaper today. We were.
God, are you going to tell this story?
I'm just saying.
On the internet where it will never go away.
No, I don't even know what story you're talking about.
I don't know either, but
I'm just saying. I could have used one today when we were in Dollar General and I needed to go to the bathroom, and I couldn't. Okay, so I hate going to Dollar General because in order to use the bathroom at Dollar General, you have to ask an associate. You have to ask a worker there for a key.
mm-hmm, you do.
Basically, what you're saying is what it requires you to do is walk up to an employee of Dollar General and look at them dead in the eye and say, I have to use your bathroom.
I mean,
No one else needs to, like at Walmart.
You're just making it dramatic, though. All you got to do is be like, man, I need your restroom key. That's it. That's all you have to do.
But like with places like Walmart, there's an element of privacy because it's like they keep their bathrooms open. You don't need to tell anybody your business. You just go, do your business, and get out. With Dollar General, you might as well be saying, I need to deposit the Taco Bell. I would rather wear a diaper than I would rather wear a diaper than have to tell someone that I'm using the bathroom. I could also go without wearing underwear for the rest of my life. But as someone once told me something that changed my whole perspective on underwear when I was a teenager. Someone said, "You know why they invented underwear, right?" And I said, "No, not really." And they said, "It's to protect your pants from your butt."
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess I'd rather wear diapers. What about you?
Never wear underwear again.
Yeah,
Cannot stand the thought of wearing adult diapers.
and they make that noise when you walk.
I mean, let's be real for a minute. Ladies, you know what I'm talking about. It's not fun. I wouldn't want to have to wear a whole diaper. That's all I'm going to say without getting too graphic.
Yeah, don't let's not get graphic. This is a family show.
Anyway,
Yeah, let's try this. When were your parents most disappointed in you?
mm.
This is a family show.
uh, when were my parents most disappointed in me? Well, I used to get in trouble a lot for getting into fights when I was younger. Um, I moved in with my grandma and my grandpa at the age of 8 because my mother would not take care of my older sister and I the way she was supposed to. So my grandparents, mostly my Grammy, was most disappointed in me when I kept consistently getting into fights at school, and then on top of that decided I just wasn't going to do my schoolwork. And I think this was maybe about a year, maybe a year and a half after we moved in with her. So it was kind of a turbulent time for a 9-year-old, right? But she was very disappointed in me. And I remember her going to school with me to talk to my principal and my teacher. And she didn't tell me. She just got out of the car when grandpa went to drop me off, and she came in with me, and I remember being so ashamed because she reached into my desk, you know, the little desks that you get when you're in school that have the metal shelves and stuff that you can stick crud in when you're in elementary school.
Sure.
And all of my schoolwork that I had up to that point refused to do was just shoved in there behind my books. And she pulled them out in front of my teacher and all the other kids in the class. And my Grammy did not yell at me. Ever. Hardly ever. But she would talk in this soft voice that I dreaded to hear because I knew it meant she was disappointed with me. And I never wanted her to be disappointed with me. And I hated when she was disappointed with me because it made me feel like the scummiest scum of the earth. Because she was just such a good person. You would have had to know her. And I think that was when she was the most disappointed in me. Boring story. I was not terribly complicated as a child, other than that. But I straightened my butt up for the most part after that. Did my work like I was supposed to. Still had to go to study hall sometimes, but I got my work done. And I eventually grew out of getting into fights with people. But I mean, people kept picking on me. I mean, when you're a fat chunky kid, I'm still a fat chunky kid, but when you're a fat chunky kid, people are going to pick on you, and you either have to learn to ignore it, which I eventually did, or you keep getting into fights until they stop picking on you, which is also partially what happened. Once people figured out I was going to give them a bloody nose for calling me fat, they stopped doing it.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, you know,
I guess it's my
not promoting violence, but it you know it stopped a lot of the bullying when I was a kid. So.
right. See, when were my parents most disappointed in me? Probably the day I was born.
Oh my god! Would you stop?
I don't know, man. Like that's hard. That's hard to say. Like I know they've been disappointed. I know. I don't really know. It's hard to say when they were most disappointed. Like I know there's been moments and times, and you just shared a very compelling personal story, and so I need to share something, I guess.
I mean, not really. It's been kind of give and take because you're usually the one who gives the long, complicated answer, and I was the one who gave the long, complicated
I'll
answer
just skip
this
this
time.
one because I know they've been disappointed in me. But I can't really think of a time when they were the most disappointed in me.
Well, maybe it's just you're not dwelling on it.
Yeah,
So-
probably. That's probably good.
Yeah, that's probably.
I'm just going to
good.
go with the day I was born.
Stop.
Your turn.
I'm gonna see if this one's good. If it's not, I'll get a different one. This is that stupid card again. I'm putting it over here.
Shuffled the deck.
Ooh, this is a good one. What's the worst job you ever had?
Oh boy. I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to. If you know me and you know my ministerial history, you know where I'm going with this.
Oh, I was really hoping you wouldn't.
You asked, I got to be honest.
Okay.
If you know me and you know my ministerial history, then you know.
Oh, let's just skip this one.
Okay.
It's a can of worms that I don't think we should open up on.
That's a whole other episode itself.
That's a whole episode.
I'll just say this and leave it at that. Every pastor, it doesn't matter who you talk to, every pastor has a first church story. And buddy, have I got one that I could write a book about?
Well, to be fair, that first church probably could too about us. So let's move on.
Okay.
Young, dumb, and full of enthusiasm.
There we go.
There you go. I don't really have a good answer for that one either because I've only had 3 jobs my entire life and I liked all of them. So
Let me try the what the heck deck. Because some of these are questionable. I don't really want to use a whole lot of these, but if I find a good one. Here we go. If you could bring one famous person back from the dead, who would you pick?
Here's the thing, though. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
If they've passed on, they need to stay there. You can learn from their life and learn from the person they were from what media exists of them.
Yeah, that's a very thoughtful and compelling answer. But I'm going to go ahead and answer the question. If I could, I would yank G.K. Chesterton straight out of the pearly gates.
So you could ask him, so you could grill him.
No. I would bring G.K. Chesterton back down here so that he could critique our society.
Okay, I think I'll also rescind mine a little bit.
Okay.
I feel like not for permanent, but just have Mr. Rogers back for a few years to help guide our children today.
Yes.
Because he was an important part, as I'm sure most millennials can say, he was an important part of my formative years.
Yes. All right, your turn.
I might shop around a little bit in the cards.
Okay.
So just let me. Okay, that's a good one, actually. Which band or artist, dead or alive, would play at your funeral?
That's hard. You go first. Give me time to think about it.
Which band or artist, dead or alive, would play at your funeral? Knee jerk reaction is to say David Bowie because I really like David Bowie.
Yeah.
Um, but probably Flogging Molly. Flogging Molly is my all-time favorite band. End of story. That's it. So I would have to have a Flogging Molly if I ever leave this world alive by Flogging Molly. So if I die before you, that's the one.
Sure. And part of my answer might surprise you.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny Cash.
Okay,
Ain't No Grave.
that's a good answer.
And I say part of my answer. I got to have two.
Okay,
Ain't No Grave by Johnny Cash, and The Same Things by Lauren O'Connell and Julia Nunes.
okay, yeah.
It's those two are the big songs that need to be played at my funeral. And then I don't know if it would be appropriate for a funeral. I mean, I think it would be. Pyro by Kings of Leon.
Pyro by Kings of Leon.
Yeah. Man, these are getting depressing. If you were to die tomorrow, what little thing would you regret not doing?
What little thing would I regret not doing? I wouldn't say it's a little thing. I would regret not spending more time in my Bible. I think.
Yeah.
Because that's, and I know what you're going to say. Well, that's easily remedied. Read your Bible more. I know.
I'm just a problem solver over here.
But that's definitely, I don't feel like I spend enough time reading my Bible, whether I'm reading other stuff or just watching stupid videos on Facebook. I feel like I waste too much time, and I could be spending more time in my Bible, which we should all spend more time in our Bible. So, but that would be my biggest regret.
Let's see. I would regret. I don't know. What little thing would you regret not doing?
Turn that heat down a little bit.
I don't know, man. That's hard because I feel like I do a lot. I feel like I don't feel like I leave a lot undone.
No.
Yeah, that's that. I don't think I'd regret anything.
You don't think you'd regret anything?
No.
That's good. Okay. You just did that one, right?
Yep.
So it's my turn. And then you think we should probably wrap it up after this?
Yeah, you get the last
We've
question.
been talking for an hour. Let's see. It's got to be a good one.
Got to be a good one.
No, that's not a good one. That's also not a good one.
You get two other decks to choose from too.
This one's funny,
Okay.
but no.
Okay.
If you could ask one person one question and they had to answer truthfully, who would it be and what would you ask?
Oh man, that's a good one.
I think so.
You go first.
If I could ask one person one question and they had to answer truthfully, who and what would you ask? Want to make this living or dead, or does it matter, you think?
Doesn't matter.
I think, and you're going to think this is stupid because she's still alive, but for those of you who don't know, my mother is in a state right now where she lives in a nursing home. She's kind of like a child. I would ask her if she had the capacity to answer. just why why she why she didn't care for my sister and I more. It's not that she didn't love us, because she did, but she loved to party more. And it was clear from the way we lived that we were never her priority, you know? So I think, I don't know, that's probably a really depressing note to end on, but that's the honest answer to that question.
Yeah, mine's not quite that personal.
That's good.
Mine is not quite that personal at
That's
all.
good.
I would ask Andy Kaufman
Ooh.
if he faked his death.
You would ask Andy Kaufman if he faked his death.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of. Like, because I gotta know if he faked his death.
I mean, that would be a very Andy Kaufman thing to do.
Well, like,
but I also feel like we would have seen something of him by now.
so like the whole, so what's really weird is that Andy Kaufman's a best friend.
Mm-hmm.
Swears up and down he faked his death.
Yeah, but when you're going through grief, you kind of cling to the idea that they're alive somewhere.
Then he's
like, you know, when my Grammy died, me and Nicole and Lily were at the lake one day, and from 50 feet offshore, we were out there treading water. There was this lady who was sitting on the beach wearing clothes that our grandma would have worn, sitting like our grandma would have sit, with the same haircut, holding her mouth. My grandma always would hold her mouth and play with it. I find myself doing it because, you see somebody do it, you do it. She would always just worry her bottom lip with her finger. And just the way she sat was how my grandma, she always sat very daintily with her legs crossed off to the side and her hand across her stomach like this. And she looked just like our Grammy from 50 feet offshore. And we knew it was crazy. She'd been dead for maybe 3 or 4 months because she died in January and it was warm enough for us to be in the lake. But to us, we were like, well, nobody's talking to her. Maybe that's really Grammy sitting there watching us. And so we swam up to the shore, and of course it wasn't her. It was a person who just happened to look a lot like her. And rationally, we knew that she was dead and that wasn't her. But in our heart of hearts, we wanted that woman to be her because we just missed her so terribly much that it just had to be her in our minds. So grief does funny things to you when you suffer a big loss, like your best friend or the person who raised you or a spouse. You see them sometimes in people and places and things where you know that it's not them.
Well, part of the reason Andy Kaufman's best friend swears up and down that he faked his death was because Andy had talked about doing it. He talked about faking his death.
Well, that's a very Andy Kaufman thing.
Right. He talked about faking his death, and then he said, I'm going to fake my death, and I'm going to come back after 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at the time Andy Kaufman died, it was easy. Well, it was easier to fake your death.
Well,
it's not quite that easy
What
now.
year was that?
Like 84.
84.
I think it was 84. It's either 84 or 1980, something like that. But it was in the early 80s. And so I want to know if Kaufman did it. I want to know if Kaufman, because another reason people say he faked his death is because the hospital where he was diagnosed at and the hospital where he died was used a lot by Hollywood to tape like hospital scenes and stuff. And so they think maybe he got them in on it and it was just a big staged thing. I don't know. I want to know if he faked his death.
I'd be very surprised if he did, honestly.
I'd be, I, I wouldn't be surprised because it's Andy. I'd be kind of disappointed if he didn't.
If he died in 84 or 80 or whatever, he's a little over his 30-year estimation.
Yeah, he is. So he probably really did.
In 1991, and you're 30, so.
Yeah, he probably did really die when they said he did. But it'd be nice if he faked his death and came back and.
Yeah, and again,
I
think that goes back to grieving.
I got really into Andy Kaufman for a while.
Yeah.
I love.
Oh, I know. When we were dating, you talked about him a lot. We watched. I think we watched Man on the Moon when we were dating.
Yep.
Or very shortly after we got married.
I still love Man on the Moon, and I love REM. REM. Watching Man on the Moon really kick-started my appreciation for REM's music. So yeah, that's it. This has been fun.
Yes.
You need to do it more.
Okay.
You really need to do it more. Anytime I ask her if she wants to record, she's like, I don't feel like it. I don't want to do it. So I'm glad she did it this time.
Yeah, no. She's busy. She's a busy girl who works a lot.
Right. Well, guys, thanks for joining us. If you're listening to the podcast, if you subscribe to the podcast, this is going to go up the following Monday. Stay tuned, and we'll have more episodes like this. So thanks for joining us.